you do key twin flame inner work and don't psychologize to bring the twin flame journey further along the line for yourself. But I will now, nevertheless, give you some psychological twin flame advice that will save you decades. And that is because it would have saved me decades when I would have known this unequivocally, very clear and concise. Here it is, take it or leave it. You have to do this, otherwise no success ever at all. If I would have known that a couple decades ago. Because, yeah, for me, there were reasons that it took me so long to get fully clear on this, and I want you to save time. So even though, again, the twin flame journey moves along, you get further on the journey by doing the inner work for twin flames, which I call the key tool, which is an exercise consisting of 4 steps, and I have 2 versions of that. And I do leave a video to how to do that in the description box, even though that is the one and only twin flame work to move you further along the direction that you want to go in. There are some fundamental psychological things that I want to share with you that will help you. And the first is, when someone tries to manipulate you, don't buy it. And this is actually the central thing that my own spiritual teacher, my first spiritual teacher that I met when I was 19 to 20, I was almost 20, I think. He gave this idea actually for so many insults and narcissistic abuses and other kinds of abuses and being manipulated. And he just said, but you don't believe that, do you? You're not supposed to believe it when someone insults you. You're not supposed to listen to it when someone tries to manipulate you. You're not supposed to take it as your own when someone tries to narcissistically gaslight you or abuse you in any other way. Don't take it on. They're standing there, they're doing that. Okay. Here, I don't receive that. I don't hear that. I don't tell myself that I'm an asshole. I don't tell myself that I do everything wrong. I don't tell myself that I should do this and that because you say so and you are the boss. I don't let myself be controlled because I just don't. I don't listen to that. I don't buy it, in other words. So even if this person is your mother or your father or your sibling or your grandmother or your teacher or your church leader, when they try to talk you down, have control over you, make you do something that you don't want, manipulate you, don't buy it. That's theirs and not yours. If they try to say nasty things to you, don't listen to it. And that means don't believe it, because we've already heard it. We are quite, understanding of what they're doing. Just don't believe it. Don't buy it. Don't do it. That's really serious, and you have to do that. If you don't have enough self-esteem or sense of self at all, or self-love, to be able to not listen to this, so that you feel that you need to believe it, you need to buy into it, then that is your one and only sign that you need to be very alarmed that you have that you don't have enough of a self and enough of a self-love, that you believe manipulation and lies and insults and gaslighting. That needs to be your alarm. Maybe you need to repair something inside of you. before you ever socialize with anyone. That may sound pretty extreme, but I'm actually quite serious. You may just have a huge trauma inside your psyche, maybe even when you're not aware of it. It is healthy to have a normal sense of self and enough of self-love to not believe in these kinds of detrimental things. And when you don't have enough self-love for that, there's something going on that needs attention before anything else. So look into that. So that's just my very grounded, normal, nothing strange going on, but essential psychological basic that I do think you need to know on the twin flame journey. We may be on the twin flame journey that is very spiritual, and you do move along only truly with this key twin flame inner work tool and with nothing else. But that doesn't mean that we don't live in a normal human world in which some psychological basics are just really, really necessary and sadly sometimes not understood. Now, don't talk down on yourself because you didn't know this. Just simply take a deep breath and allow yourself to understand some basics. And this is number 2. It could have saved me decades, remember. You have to become active in the journey and in loving yourself and be honest and not numb out. So I know this is a whole bunch of things in one line. Become active, love yourself, be honest and not numb out, I know. But it did seem to somehow fit together, all of it. I think it means you have to be open. So you're not hanging back. You're not trying to disappear or hide. You're not trying to love everyone else but overlook yourself. You're not trying to lie that you're great and fantastic and that you had such a wonderful childhood and that you don't have any trauma because you think that that is the best way of presenting yourself when that is actually not true, not genuine, not authentic, not true in your nervous system. Maybe you do have trauma, you see. Maybe you're not all right. It is of the utmost importance to be honest. Nobody is served by you not being honest, and your twin flame journey won't go well. You have to be honest. And not numb out as well. That's also the openness. Don't try, that's the same thing actually. Don't try to do as if nothing's going on with you and everything's all right, when that is not so. Now, this all means be open. Be open and active. Participate in openness with yourself in what you're doing, where you're standing in the journey. Don't try to hide. Don't try to make yourself look better when you're not. Be honest. That's what it means. Now, this openness then at the same time does not mean that you're going to throw yourself open in all kinds of situations where that is absolutely unsafe and uncalled for. Don't do that. Be open in a community where that is meant for people to be open on this journey. Be open in a relationship with your teacher that is meant to be genuine, open, and vulnerable. Because otherwise it doesn't make sense to be with your teacher. Don't be open in unsafe relationships that have nothing to do with you and that you don't need to make better to make progress on this journey. More than you really feel deep in your heart that you absolutely desire and long for, and it's crucial for you. Don't throw yourself for a pack of hungry wolves. That is absolutely not necessary. The point is to be open and honest with yourself in the first place. And that is where you would need to see it in. You need to be open and honest with the divine. You need to be open and honest with your true twin flame. And with your soul family and with your teacher and twin flame community. Because that's the place in the first instance where you're going to make this all come true. So, and when there's no openness, there will be no progress. Because you have to give the thing space and room to exist in order for it, if it needs that, to be able to be operated in by the divine a little bit so that you become healed. You need to give it free. Otherwise, no true twin flame healing. No true healing. That's just how any spiritual journey works. That's how spiritual healing works. And what spiritual healing is just essentially foundational healing, true healing. It means healing not with a placebo, but with something that truly works and that will make you healed unequivocally and completely so that it will never return. Not even in this life, not in your next life, never. Disappeared. That's the healing we're talking about. That's what happens on the twin flame journey. And that's also why you need to be open and real and honest. 3, you have to let all your feelings come up and feel them through to completion. And this is not something that is hidden or secret. Important, important, very important. If you don't want to let your feelings come up, if you want to pick and choose these emotions, those emotions not. If you want to keep it hidden for the world or hide from it for yourself, if you want to make a secret out of the fact that you even do have feelings and emotions and whatnot, it won't work. You have to be able to let your feelings arise and feel them through to completion. Now, everyone has feelings, also those people who are culturally or generationally doing as if they don't, and that they don't need to, and that they want to have nothing to do with feelings. Oh, there are a lot of people like that, but they also have feelings. Everyone has them. There's no exception. And the only thing that's going to be different is when you are that brave one, that is going to be the positive difference. You are going to be the brave one that is not only open about the fact that they do have feelings, but you let them all come up intentionally and feel them through to completion so that you transform them so that you will be the one that has success on their twin flame journey. And that's good. That's what you want. You have to let all your feelings come up and feel them through to completion. And this is not something hidden or secret. You can't let all your feelings and emotions come up and your upsets, maybe that's even a better word. I actually use that word in the key tool, that is the actual twin flame inner work, right? You can't hide them and think that you're going to make progress, because where will that progress be expressed then? When you try to hide that you have feelings, or try to hide maybe that you've moved through some feelings, but you're still going to hide that very fact or that process or the result of it. So where are you going to live the result of that having felt through your feelings? You can't live that anywhere when you try to hide the feelings, the process of transformation, and the result of it, where you've come in right now in this newer, better, healed place. You can't have a life like that because you can't live these new feelings. You can't live these new transformed places like that. Where is your twin flame union, which is a relationship inside of that sacred bubble too, with people, you know, where does that going to take place? Where is that going to go to the restaurant? Where is that going to go to talk together an evening? Where is that going together to live together? Where is that going to happen? Well, nowhere, because you're trying to hide that whole fact that you have feelings, that you are in the process of feeling them, and where it brought you. So there's nowhere now to actually live the result of that, which is ultimately your true twin flame harmonious union. So, and don't get me wrong, all of this is what I did wrong. This is what I mean with this whole video. I have been trying to hide my processes and my feelings. I had been learning as a child that you don't have feelings, and when you have them, they're invalid. And I learned that feeling them through is a nuisance to the people around you. You're not allowed to do that. You need to stop crying now, and things like that. And when I got with my first spiritual teacher 20 years ago, more than 20 years, more like 24 years ago, anyway, something like that, I was also still trying to hide my process, which indeed meant that there was no true to life place in my actual daily life where I could live the results of potentially worked through feelings as a person, you know, in freedom. No, that was not possible for me. Now, I had been learning all of this crap in my childhood, in my family, but also our culture in general supports hiding it and not feeling anything and doing as if you don't have feelings and whatnot. And some genders more than other and stuff, but still, it doesn't really matter. We all get our share of that. So just know that you have to let all your feelings come up to actually move through them and go to, well, here it comes. This might be the biggest surprise for you, to move to a place where you are actually sobered up from them in a way that you've moved through it to completion, and now you're sobered up and you get into reality in connection. This is what I wanted to say. You get into connection with the reality. And that then is much more close to the subtle reality of your inner heart and eventually of heaven itself. So, contradictorily, perhaps for the superficial onlooker, only when you've moved through your feelings, you come in this sobered up place that we call reality. That is a lot closer to the reality of heaven, if you will. And we don't move closer to that. And that's also where your twin flame lives, you know. And you don't move closer to that space by denying that you have any feelings whatsoever. Because that's what people try. They try to live in reality by doing as if they don't have feelings and emotions and upsets. And I'm just dealing with, you know, the flesh and bone, and I get some food in it and flesh and bone, sleep a little bit, okay, but I don't feel anything. And that's what many people think is being sobered up people or something, or logic people, logic approach to life. But that's really not so. These people are very, very full of unconscious feelings and upsets and emotions, which makes them completely and utterly drunk, doing as if with a mask on, that is how we deal with each other in this society and whatnot. But they're drunk of, well, essentially having drunken the Kool-Aid from the cult that is our society. And the true state of being sobered up is actually on the other side of all these feelings. So move through the feelings and become genuinely sobered up and freed up. And that's where these kinds of things become clear about the culture that you came from and stuff, you know. So that's good to know, because now you understand so much more, and that is part of being sobered up. So that you know what it is not. And then you can consciously let in the influence of heaven, where twin flames live, and that's where you eventually will live together with them in a sobered up reality. Okay. And the fourth thing that you should know to save multiple decades on the twin flame journey, the psychological idea is this: you have to take care of your own needs. You take care of what you want and need and desire and wish, what your body needs, what your food wishes are, what your clothing wishes are, and needs, you know, and the housing needs, and like the fundamental stuff, and like, but also like the love, the self-love, the love that you crave. You take care of those needs. That's the fundamental idea in psychology, on which the whole twin flame idea is built on, and on which it thrives. You take care of your needs, not the twin flame, not the romantic lover partner, not the parents, not you. You take care of your own needs, and every one of them, and always. And when you've got that down, you become freed up to relate in freedom, because you don't need someone else. You become free to relate with each other. And because with your true twin flame, you're essentially at the core one, you will also see that these needs will start to become very different. You do start to work fully together, co-create in those basic needs in harmonious union. And you won't need to worry about all of that so much anymore. The whole idea of needs will transform, because twin flames live in this original heaven space of reality, of the divine reality. And that is where you will see that the having of the needs actually transforms into another form of this matter, in which you will experience, and if you don't experience this, then it doesn't mean anything to you, and I understand that. But if you do the correct twin flame work and go to harmonious union and beyond, then you will experience this at a certain point, that you're not busy anymore with needs, you're busy with surrendering and letting go and falling back into the divine essence that you already are, that is unionized. And from that arises the answer to your needs that is better than you could even imagine. And always on time, and always enough. But that doesn't mean that in the beginning and in the psychological ground layer of things, this isn't a good idea to know this. I do think so. You have to take care of your own needs. All right. Now, the fifth and last idea for you to save decades on the twin flame journey with some psychological sanity is this. Pay attention. You are allowed to be happy, truly happy. You, completely. You are allowed to be truly happy. Feel good, feel real good. Feel effortless with yourself and in flow all the time. You are allowed that. Nothing is supposed to stand there in between the allowing of yourself to be happy. No police agent or boss or church leader or controlling parent, narcissistic dad, controlling partner is psychologically, when we look at sanity, allowed to stand there and tell you that you're not allowed to be happy, or at least become open to the possibility of that and move towards that. Nobody is in any sanity allowed to like tear you down and make sure that you're not allowed to be autonomous and happy and in flow and organize your daily life so that it works best for you. If there's something standing there, or someone, or some rule, or some hierarchy, or some religion that thinks that it's going to control you to such an extent that you're somehow, in some way, not allowed to be basically happy as an autonomous psychological whole with all its parts intact and fed to satisfaction. If there's someone or something standing here telling you that's not allowed, then you don't need to listen to that. And you better place some boundaries there so that they don't do that again. And you don't get unconsciously drawn into that direction ever again. Or like influenced against your will. Or even by them with their negative intentions and frequency standing next to you and exuding to you that to you all the time, all day long. Or once a month, that's worse enough. 2 times a year, no thank you. Once in a decade, no. No, also not. You are allowed to be happy. That is very fundamental. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. There is no rule that says that it's not allowed in any sort of normal, healthy life, psychology, coaching idea, religion that is sane. No, doesn't exist. So you are allowed to be happy. You are. And being on the twin flame journey is a large part of things, is about that, is about being happy and moving towards that what makes you happy and healing yourself so that you become genuinely happy. Well, if you don't allow yourself that, what are you doing on the twin flame journey? You can't even do it. It's not possible. So, yeah, maybe you did, have this spark flying around that somehow like, oh, there is a divine love, but your reaction immediately is like, oh, but I'm not allowed to be happy. So that's like a no, thank you. Well, that won't work. It's not gonna work. So you are allowed to be happy. That is fundamental for the twin flame journey because it means that you will be happy. And you're even going to invest all your inner work and your time and your money and your effort into being real happy because that's what it means. So I hope this helped. Twin flame healing happens in 2 ways. And one of them is psychological. And I speak about that in the following helpful video that I will put here in a couple of seconds. Please click on it and watch that one because I'm sure it will help you further. Much love from Petra.